Everybody, it's Wardy here, and we're back at it with a special edition of a Mets post-game coverage, as not only did the Mets sweep the St. Louis Cardinals in not one, not two, not three, but no, 4 games, but they capped it off in a brilliant back and forth that we saw with this 7-4 victory on Easter Sunday. First and foremost, happy Easter to everybody. He has risen to all who celebrate. Very happy about that. And secondly, I'm even more happy that on this special Easter Sunday, the boys go out and continue to step up big time for the 40,000 strong at Citi Field. What a start to this season. A homestand, 9-1. When was the last time the Mets began the season 9-1 at home? 1986. When was the last time the Mets went 10-0 at home? 2015. What do they have in common? You guys can connect the dots. I am amped up to get into this one. We got the Polar Bear continuing to do his job. We got Juan Soto with a big game today, stepping up late in this one with multiple RBIs. Francisco Lindor himself leading off, as he always does, with the heroics. Brandon Nimmo silencing some doubters in this one offensively and defensively. Clay Holmes going 6 strong. Oh, baby, hype me up. Let's get the hype in the chat rolling, everybody. Happy to have you all in here. Juan Diaz, thank you for the donation, saying LFGM, greetings from WrestleMania. Hope you're having a blast at WrestleMania. If that's the case, baby, we're happy to have you in here. We got Billy Dottie right away with the $2 holla that says, Goat Soto is waking up. Let's destroy the Phillies. You said it, baby. Shout out to Greg for becoming a new member here in the platform, guys. Shout out to all my members coming in live and on replay, folks. We got a lot to break down. We're going to get into this ball game inning by inning, as we always do, 1 through 9. You guys know the drill by now. We're going to get into the key player takeaways. Who stood out most and why? How did the Mets go out and actually sweep the Cardinals as comfortably as they did over these 4 games is what we're going to recap. Sean, thank you for the $2 holla. Folks, spam those W's, and most importantly, spam those brooms in the chat. That is what I want to see, everybody. Because, folks, if you're new here, you're about to say, what's going on with this guy, Wardy? Why is he so amped up? We love covering this Mets team after every single game throughout the course of the 162. And, folks, it is time that we let it rip with the one, the only, the official WardyNYM post-game jingle. Let's go! Let's go, baby! Hype me up! I'm acting like I'm sweeping.
Calling all Met fans, come and join us now. Talking about this game and gonna break it down. It's Mets post-game.
Shout out to my guys Greg and Jordan with the official WardyNYM post-game jingle. Let's not break anything, Wardy. Okay, we're going to put that down over there for now. Let's get back into this one, and I want to see how are we feeling today on this Easter Sunday. Thank you so much to everyone that especially celebrates and is still going out of their way to chime in live. That really means a lot. I know a lot of you guys are going to see this on replay too, so to all my replay viewers, I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What is your biggest takeaway from this latest series victory for the Amazons? Not just a series victory, but a 4-game series sweep like it was nothing. I'm sorry, I was supposed to be nervous with the Cardinals heading into this series. Phil Maton doing Phil Maton things by helping this Mets team. Chad O'Neal with the $2 holla, 4-time jingle. If you guys remind me, I'll do the jingle at least one more time before we wrap up the show. But we got a lot to get into, folks. Rebecca, D-Mac, Leo, Steve, how you doing? Steve, I'll get back to you later. I know I meant to. Apologies about that. Busy day. Hey, Jack, how you doing? Rebecca going up the list. We got JR, we got Haram, we got Juan Diaz, all my great members. Daniel Caps, how you doing? Mike Norton, RZ, great subscribers in here. Kevin, how you doing? Pingus, how you doing? RZ, David, G Money, how you doing, baby? Thunder Nation, Jason, Splitsburg, Paul. Oh my goodness gracious, a lot of people. Come one, come all. Let's break down this ball game, everybody. I am amped right now. If you guys couldn't tell, if it's Tomato Face Wardy, that means that even though it's April 20th, 2025, the boys are playing so damn good right now that it's hard not to be like acting like a little kid in a candy shop. We're 15-7. We're about to enter our biggest series yet this year against the filthy Phillies, and they just lost to the Miami Marlins because, what was it? Pantoja hit a tank that we saw in the 8th or the 9th that had 5 RBIs. Absolutely ridiculous. I got to see the boys continue this pace. We got a big matchup coming up. But before we get to that matchup, everybody, let's talk about how we got here. Because not only was this a huge series sweep for the Mets, and not only do they have a bunch of connections to already that 86 and 2015 Mets team, but folks, the best part of it all, they're not even hitting it on all full cylinders yet. You want to know how the Mets fared with runners in scoring position today? 4 for 13. They left 8 on base. And the only reason why I'm excited about this is because the Mets are still clearly having their struggles with runners on, and yet they're winning as comfortably as they are right now. They're rallying back every single time that they either lose a lead or it becomes tied. Look how long it took them to be resilient a half inning, just like that, because they're dogs. This Mets team is special. They're off to a tremendous start. I'm absolutely amped. Now let's get back into breaking down the latest here in Mets land. Let's break down this ball game. Oh, baby. It starts here in the first that we saw, everybody, as Lars Nootbaar got on with a walk. Our pitching matchups, of course, for this one was Clay Holmes looking for his best start yet as a starter for the New York Metropolitans, facing off against Sonny Gray, the veteran right-hander who could always swing it, always do it well there for that Cardinals team. Kevin Kane, thank you so much for the $10 holla. Kevin says Lindor and Soto getting hot just in time for Phillies. You said it, baby. And folks, actually, I do apologize. There is one more thing that I do want to get into before we get this puppy rolling. Thank you so much in advance for checking it out. It really does mean a lot, and it's more important than ever now with this Phillies series starting up tomorrow. So listen in just for a hot second. Thank you, guys. Folks, the Mets season has officially started, which means it's time to shout out our amazing sponsor here at SeatGeek, because not only are they going to have me covered, but they're going to have each and every one of you covered with all of your ticketing needs throughout the course of the 162. Because it's one thing to be the #1 rated ticketing app with over 28 million downloads and 70+ thousand active events to choose from, whether it's Mets games, different team games, whether you're looking at concert tickets, comedy show tickets, anything ticket related, SeatGeek has you covered. And just to give you guys further proof, I have been utilizing SeatGeek well before we actually had them here as a ticketing sponsor. And the best part of it all, everybody, is that they have a grading scale, a true system in their app that's slim and none the best in the game, in my humble opinion. As you guys see beside me, we're going to take a look at some future Mets games, specifically against the Philadelphia Phillies right around mid to late April. And as you guys see the ticket prices, you see a range of 1 to 10 on the scale, meaning how good it is for a bang for your buck, and a color coordination scale, meaning if it's green, that you should really definitely get those tickets because it's a great bang for your buck. And if it's red, if it's more in the rating of 1 to 5, they're probably overpriced and you could probably do better elsewhere, still in the SeatGeek app, but somewhere else when you're looking to acquire tickets in said app. So that's what I love so much about them. They make it so easy, so simplistic to give me a great idea as to what I should be pouncing on, especially when some awesome deals present themselves throughout the course of the 162 there in the SeatGeek app. So what does this mean, everybody? It means that if you haven't already, you got to check out our awesome friends, because they're going to have you covered, again, with Mets tickets or whatever you need ticket-wise throughout the entire course of the year, which is why I implore each and every one of you, if you haven't already, to check out our amazing promo code at WardyNYM by clicking the link down below the description of this video. Shout out to SeatGeek, as always, for being an amazing sponsor on the platform, everybody. But seriously, use WardyNYM as your promo code. Once you click it, it's hyperlinked too, so if you have the app downloaded, it's going to tell you automatically that that percentage was added, and you're going to get some money off your next ticketing purchase, all thanks to our awesome friends here at SeatGeek. Shout out to them once more. We appreciate them greatly. Shout out Thunder Nation in the chat. Saw my first Soto solid game in person. Happy that you were there. Shout out to everyone that attended this glorious homestand. And shout out once more to each and every one of you guys. Citi Field was rocking. 40,000 strong, what felt like at least every single game in this 4-game set, everybody. Shout out to you guys for showing up. I hope that continues as we get into this Phillies matchup. I may attend one of the games. It's on the outside looking in right now. We'll see what happens with my schedule, but it's really hard to not want to attend these Mets games right now with the way the boys are swinging the bats well early, and they're not even clicking on all full cylinders, everybody. Final little note here before we break down the ball game. It is as follows. The St. Louis Cardinals, can't forget this, have been swept by the New York Metropolitans in a 4-game set for the first time since, yes, you guessed it, 1986. Keith Hernandez knows quite a bit about that story as someone who played on both sides and was favored there with the Mets once he landed here, leading into that 86 season, everybody. But now let's break it down. Let's get into this one. My goodness, my God, my gracious. What a series for the boys, seriously. Lars Nootbaar kicks the ball game off that we saw with a walk there. Thankfully, that was only one of two that Clay Holmes gave up this entire ball game, because afterwards, everybody, everybody, we would see Thomas Sajasi, and I believe I figured it out now because I was listening to Howie on the call earlier. I'm like, okay, so just and then JC. Okay, I can do that. So JC grounded into a force out that we saw there, everybody. So he's on. Then a line out for Brendan Donovan, a single for Wilson Contreras, and then a big strikeout on Alec Burleson, and that escapes the GM unscathed for Clay Holmes in the first. We then get to the bottom of the first, everybody. Continue to spam those W's and brooms in the chat, everybody. I want to see those key takeaways. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way and help us get to a couple hundred likes by the end of the live show. And replay viewers, you know what to do by now. Lindor, what does he do? Of course, Lindor leads off the best way that he knows how. Francisco Lindor, have yourself a day, everybody. Not only did Lindor have himself a multi-hit game and a tremendous defensive effort, and then one that he fell short of that led to some runs, but it really isn't his fault. It was still ruled a single for a reason. Lindor, what did he do? Leading the game off the only way he knows how with an upper decky. The same exact bomb he walked off the Cardinals on a couple nights ago. He does it yet again here to lead off the ball game this time. Sometimes he's a starter, sometimes he's an ender. In the case of the Mets and Lindor today, he was the starter to lead the way for this Mets team. Lindor rips his third home run of the year. Our guy's now up to a 271 average and a just under 750 OPS on the season. Easily, in my opinion, the most impressive start to the season Lindor has done with the Mets. This trumps even how hot of a start that he had to a degree in 2022. I think Lindor has been as consistent as one could hope for. He's rallying around the boys, and he is clearly making a difference on both the offensive and defensive end, even though I understand defensively it has fluctuated a little bit into what you're getting there with the early hours this season. But Francisco Lindor, guys, let's just take a moment to appreciate the greatness that was him, because he continues to be our captain, to be our MVP, and where would this Mets team be without him? Seriously, Francisco Lindor, everybody, what a start to the season for him. And I want to hear from every one of you guys in the chat right now and the comments down below. How hyped up is Francisco Lindor, our unsung captain, making you to start this Mets season? Because guys, I'm way too hyped up for April 20th right now. I don't remember the last time that I was this excited for a Mets season in the first month and a half, and I really think it's been to this degree since even before I started covering the Mets, because I know that the Mets had early success, really had success throughout the entirety of the 2022 season up until it fell short towards the end. But even then, I can't think of a time where I felt as comfortable with the boys out there every night the way that I do right now. Even when the Mets were absolutely pistol whipping teams like the Phillies and the first half of that 2022 season. That was a lot of fun with the no-no, a lot of heroics, and a lot of fun things going on there, especially in that month of May. But what the Mets have done to start the season at home, they are finally, and guys, I cannot emphasize this enough, including Francisco Lindor leading the way, they are finally defending Citi Field. This Mets team, since Citi Field started in 2009, have been so fickle and performing not only for their fans, but most importantly, just to be home at Citi Field. It's fluctuated so much over the years, and to see the Mets go off to the start that they have this season, giving everyone with their hard-earned money, spending at Citi Field when it's not cheap to go there, showing up for them. That is my biggest takeaway with guys like Lindor with his hot start and everyone else in this lineup. And I can only imagine just how much better it's going to get again when everyone is clicking on all full cylinders. What a tremendous start for Francisco Lindor, everybody. Let me know in the chat in the comments down below. 1 out of 10, how hyped up is Mr. Smile making you to begin this season? And as we get back in this one, everybody, as we're breaking down the ball game together, my apologies as well if my camera is a little out of focus. Let's see if I can focus it a little bit better here. If I can't, no worries. I think I got it. There we go. I think I can. Yes, I can, Wardy. Lindor gives the Mets a 1-0 lead that we saw there. Soto would strike out after, but he would make up for it later in this ball game. Alonso and Nimmo ground out to end it from there. We then get on to the second. We're in the second inning. It's a nice 1-2-3 inning of work there for Clay Holmes. He gets a nice called strike 3 on Jordan Walker, and boy, oh boy, would Jordan Walker's day go from bad to worse when he goes to Brandon Nimmo. If you know, you know. Gorman with a fly out, Pedro Pajes with a ground out, and that's a nice 1-2-3 for Clay, leading to the bottom of the second. And in the bottom of the second, the Mets would go down in order, but seriously, Jordan Walker, I actually like the fact that it was Walker out of all people that was robbed in this ball game, because before that happened, Jordan Walker robbed Luis Angel Acuna of a clear opposite field base knock. He absolutely steals it with a great, gorgeous diving catch in right field. Acuna got to tip the cap. That's all you could do there. Luis Angel had himself a day yet again there at the second base position. Why? Because he's an absolute dog. That's why. We have been gassing up Acuna for weeks now, and I feel more validated than ever before to see him blossom to the way that he has, continuing to develop in the right degree. Not only base running's elite, not only does the defense look elite, but the guy's putting the ball in play every single time out there for the most part. He should have had 3 hits today. He ended up with 2, not complaining at all. Beatty didn't have as favorable of a day, unfortunately. He had himself a ground out, and given Beatty's lack of production the last couple days, it does leave the question as to what things will be once McNeil returns, and that will be happening, not immediately, but over this next week, and we're going to expand more on McNeil and Alvarez in a video that should be dropping in the AM for each and every one of you, so be on the lookout for that one, folks, because before we get there, let's break down more of this ball game, right? In the top of the third, after the Mets went down in order, another 1-2-3 inning for, yeah, you guessed it, Clay mother effing Holmes, baby, gets a fly out on Victor Scott, a ground out on Lars Nootbaar, and a ground out on Thomas Saggese. I believe I pronunciated it right. And that leads us to the bottom of the third, where with 2 outs, pardon me, everybody, Tyrone Taylor got the leadoff single, so let's not forget that. Hayden Senger then strikes out swinging. Lindor then rips his second base hit of the day, and Juan Soto drives in Tyrone, TT as we love to call him, with a nice sac fly that we saw to center and left. That brings in a run, and the Mets have themselves a 2-0 lead. Pete Alonso would pop out shortly after the first baseman, Alec Burleson, but not before the Mets go up a pair as we head to the top of the fourth. And the top of the fourth, after a strikeout on Brendan Donovan, which is always important because Brendan Donovan was the biggest pain in the ass this entire series. Pardon my French. Sip it up. My apologies. Wilson Contreras then with a single, 1-out knock. Alec Burleson with a single. Then with 2 on, less than 2 out, Jordan Walker does what he does best in his young career, and that's striking out swinging. Walker strikes out on the nasty kick change, if I'm not mistaken, there by Clay Holmes. I'm actually going to double check to see if it's going to allow to show me or not. Let's see. It was on the sweeper. My apologies. Not the kick change. And then Nolan Gorman there on the fly out there does it for another clean inning of work for Clay Holmes, doing some Houdini magic, once again escaping his own mess there with 2 on, less than 2 out. Not a problem for the 6'7" Clay that's going to go and get the job done. As we then get to the bottom of the fourth, everybody, with 2 outs, after we would see Nimmo ground out and Jesse strikeout swinging, Luis Angel Acuna gets on base for his first single of the day there that he rips to left. Beatty would then reach there on catcher's interference, so there's 2 on, less than 2 out. Brett the Hitman Beatty got on, now would have hit this time, but what Pedro Paez saying, let me give you a free pass, buddy. So with 2 on, 2 out, Tyrone Taylor, what does he do? Unfortunately, he pops it out. He got a little excited there, pops out of Brendan Donovan, which leads us to the top of the fifth. Still up by a pair. In the top of the fifth, Pedro Paez gets the party started with a walk, then a strikeout of Victor Scott. Great job there, striking out swinging by Clay Holmes. And he struck him out that time that we saw with the kick change at over 86 miles per hour. Nasty stuff there. Then Lars Nootbaar flies out, and then with 2 outs, we would see Thomas Saggese ground into a force out, all thanks to Francisco Lindor pulling a jump man. What a gorgeous turn and throw he made to get the force out there at second. That did it for the inning. A tremendous job defensively by Lindor through the first 5 at least. That then leads us, everybody, to the bottom of the fifth, and we would see after Hayden Senger lines out and after Francisco Lindor strikes out swinging, Soto gets his first base hit of the day, this time a single that he pulled the right side, because of course he did. Then a wild pitch allows Soto to get to second base, and that's all the polar bear needs to drive in a run. Pete Alonso doing more Pete Alonso things. Pete rips himself a hard single that makes it 3-0 Mets. That drives in Juan Soto, and the Mets are up 3-zip here through 5. We would see WardyNYM strike out swinging after, but how WardyNYM went about this ball game, folks, I can't emphasize enough, because it all starts here in the 6th inning. This is where it goes from being a story about other players to an emphasis on WardyNYM in this matchup. Brendan Donovan leads off the 6th inning with a double, already his 7th of the season, because the guy's been an absolute madman on the hitting spree, not just against our Mets, but against every team across Major League Baseball so far this season. Then we will see Wilson Contreras strike out there, called strike 3. That was huge to freeze him. And then Clay Holmes on a wild pitch allows Donovan to get all the way to third, and given the fact that Donovan gets to third, that means that a run's going to come in. Alec Burleson grounds out, that allows the run to come in. It's a 2-run ball game, still in the Mets' favor, but we're like, okay, it's a 2-run ball game. Let's just see what happens from here. What happens from here, everybody? Jordan Walker rips one left. It's high. It's far. It is robbed. Brandon Nimmo with an absolute home run robbery in left. That ends the 6th inning. That finishes it for Clay Holmes' day, everybody. But my goodness, my God, my gracious, what a catch by Brandon Nimmo. A perfect leap and right. He makes the snag. Jordan Walker can only do nothing but hang his head and head back to the dugout. The boys are still up by 2, and that saves it for Clay Holmes, in which his final line, everybody, is as follows. Clay Day was a strong one. He goes 6 innings of 4 walk, 1 earned run, 6 strikeout, 4 hit baseball, a 3.16 ERA now on the season for Mr. Clay Holmes. What a day for Clay. And I actually sincerely apologize, everybody. I knew I was going to have at least one damn error today, and my error that I see is on the walk front. Please ignore the 4 walks. Clay Holmes had 2 walks today. I repeat, Clay Holmes had 2 walks today. I think maybe I had 4 in there because I see what I did. I flip-flopped. I saw 4 with the hits, and I put it in 1 too many times. My apologies, folks. And honestly, I'm kind of used to Clay Holmes giving us 3-4 walks, so that's why this was such a pivotal outing for him. So once more, disregard the 4 walks on the graphic. He had 2 walks, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts, 4 hits, 3.16 ERA. But Clay Holmes, guys, let's take a look at what works so well for him and his arsenal in this matchup, because he had that kick change working big time, got a nice bite on it, and obviously utilizing that 6-7 pitch mix. With the sinker that he threw 31% of the time in this one, folks, topped out 95, sat 93. The slider, which he threw 22%, topped out 89, sat 86. The changeup threw 22% as well, topped out 91, sat right around 88. The four-seam that we saw topped out 94, sat right around 93. The sweeper at 8%, topped out 82, sat 81. And the cutter that he threw just twice, topped out at 93 and sat right around 91, everybody. And it always happens. Exactly. If there is an awarding mistake on a graphic, there's something wrong with Wardy. So it happens every time because I speed run a million things, make sure I can go live as fast as possible for each and every one of you. So we're doing the best we can. But Clay Holmes did the best that he could today, and in my opinion, this was the sharpest start from Clay yet. I loved how he mixes pitches. I love the heavier sinker usage in this one, especially. That is more Clay Holmes, what we expect. But not only the sinker, but to see him utilize the kick change there the same amount of times that he utilized the slider, and have that sweeper working a little bit for some nice swing and miss too. I'm going to give Clay Holmes a nice, strong 7 out of 10 with his grade today. The only reason why I'm not going higher is because I think that we're going to hit greater highs with Clay this season, much better than this. Honestly, I think this is just the start of Clay Holmes being something special for the Mets in their rotation this season. And mind you, we still have guys like Frankie Montas and Sean Manaea having yet to come back from injury for this Mets rotation that still currently leads all Major League Baseball in team ERA, baby. And I am absolutely amped up to continue to say that. Clay Holmes, what a day for him. I'm giving him a strong 7 out of 10. I would love to hear your guys' grades down below. And if you guys think that my grade is wrong, that's fine. We're never going to see eye to eye with all these things. My grading scale is a bit more stubborn because I focus not on just walks, I focus on innings, and I also focus on efficiency, knowing that we can get a 7-inning outing out of Clay maybe next time with around the same line. Maybe we can get an 8-inning outing out of him. God willing, we could get a full game shutty at some point this year. That'd be brilliant. But we keep all the 8 to 10s more in range of closer to obviously having as stellar of an outing as you can have. But Clay Day, I'm going here with a solid 7 out of 10, everybody. So that gets us back in this ball game to break it down, because the Mets are up here 3-1 as we enter the bottom of the 6th. And in the bottom of the 6th, folks, we would see Jesse Winker lead off the inning with a walk, and Jesse would then promptly steal second base, as Jesse Winker got the start today for the Mets at DH over Starling Marte, based on the pitching matchup, especially facing Sonny Gray. And then after that, folks, we wouldn't see too much. Luis Angel Acuna grounds out, Beatty pops out, and Taylor flies out for a 1-2-3 from there after Jesse got the party started with a runner in scoring position with less than 2 out. In the top of the 7th, everybody, here comes Danny Young. And what happens with Danny Young, everybody? Well, let's break it down. Nolan Gorman would get on with a single, and let me start by saying that this is a play that Lindor was so close to having. He made a great jumping attempt to, in fact, snag this single, but unfortunately, he couldn't corral it after initially making the attempt. He drops it, and that's how the plate setter gets on right away in Gorman. They did rule it a single even after, because there was never an error on Lindor. If he made the snag, great. That would have been amazing. It would have maybe not one-upped his first play today. That was great an inning or so ago, but it was really, really good on the attempt at least. Didn't happen, and sadly, this did lead to ultimately things happening for the Cardinals here, because as we continue to break down this inning, everybody, Pedro Pajes would be called out on strikes. Great job by Danny Young to freeze him there. Then we would see Luke and Baker come in as a pinch hitter and go, in fact, and get a walk. So right away, Danny Young, after unfortunately not getting the snag from Francisco Lindor to lead off the inning on Nolan Gorman, we then see Luke and Baker get on there with a walk after 1 out, and then Lars Nootbaar, thankfully, would be called out on strikes. That was a huge strike 3 call there on Lars Nootbaar that got him to freeze, and now, folks, the Mets have 2 out, but there's 2 on still for the St. Louis Cardinals, and that is then going to do it for Danny Young's day. So Danny escapes while still having a mess on the base pass for Jose Butto, out of all people, to try to fix it. And listen, Jose Butto has not been overly dynamite this season. He has been one of the bigger liabilities in the bullpen. No one's truly been a true liability in the pen this year. I think we can all agree that he's been off to such a great start. But if there's anyone that you can nitpick, it's 2 people for the most part. It's Danny Young, and it's obviously Mr. Jose Butto. If we're not talking about when Edwin Diaz just simply forgot how to command the strike zone against the Miami Marlins, 2 weeks ago. With that being said, very good job by the Mets in this ball game, but it did get bad before it got better. As Jose Butto comes in, after warming up plenty, this mofo, and I say this jokingly because I don't have an ill will with Jose, I'm just making some light of the situation, but he decides to throw a hitting slider right down the pipe. Like, what do you think's going to happen? Against a contact-hitting god not named Brendan Donovan, but this time Thomas Saggese, who absolutely torched the Mets this entire series. He was giving me Tommy Edman vibes, and you never want that because you get the PTSD back to the NLCS, and that's not a good thing. But Saggese rips his 4th double of the year that automatically ties this ball game 3-3. Danny Young gets charged with the runs, even though it's Jose Butto's meatball down the pipe that caused the issue. So I always hate that too. There's nothing that I hate more than a pitcher exiting the game. He has a mess. I know that's not ideal for a pitcher to come in and try to get out of it, but at the same time, it pains me when right away a pitcher comes in and he gets rocked right away. It makes you wonder, would the Mets have been better if they kept Danny Young in this ball game? I'm not entirely sure, but I guess we'll never know, right? Actually, I'm not even going to say who that quote's initially from because there's enough controversy there right now. But Brendan Donovan with a soft ground out there does it then for the top of the 7th, folks, which then leads us to the bottom of the 7th, because in the bottom of the 7th, we would see former Philly turned Cardinal and Jojo Romero come in, and he would strike out Hayden Senger. Senger, who got the start over Luis Torrens today, which made sense. It made sense to get at least Senger 1 or 2 games in here. And then with 1 out, Francisco Lindor rips himself a single ground ball there that we would see a soft ground ball, but that gets the job done. And that was actually, I apologize, folks, that was like pretty much like a little, almost like a bunt. A little infield single that can be handled in time there by Pedro Pajes, and we have a runner on. Juan Soto then has himself his typical walk because he's Juan Soto. Then the polar bear comes in, and Pete Alonso, as a surprise to everybody, is facing off against Phil Maton. The Cardinals bring in Phil Maton to face Pete Alonso. And what does Pete Alonso do? He starts the count 3-0 for the most part, and then he gets worked all the way back, and he strikes out swinging. Really good job by Phil Maton to throw off the levels of Alonso. Was frustrating because we're all sitting here saying, come on, Phil, Haney meatball. Do it just like you did against Milwaukee in the wild card. Please hang someone's right down the pipe right now, baby. We would love to see it. We didn't get that necessarily right away as Pete Alonso strikes out swinging. A big surprise to us all is that felt like a moment where Pete was going to come out and do some absolutely insane things. But you want to know who stepped up for this Mets team when they need it most, and honestly when he needed most on the offensive end. Brandon Nimmo came to play. Brandon pokes one, everybody, that we see. Oppo, actually, I apologize. He ripped that one more up the center, actually. Nimmo rips a 2-out RBI single. Here comes Juan Soto. He gets the 3rd, and who comes to score? It's Mr. Smile himself and Francisco Lindor. The Mets have themselves a 4-3 lead here, all thanks to Brandon Nimmo. So Brandon goes from robbing Jordan Walker of a potential bomb and left to then giving the Mets the immediate lead after sacrificing the lead a half inning prior. That is how resilient this Mets team is. So many shades from last year in similarity to that, but they're better than last year. They're deeper than last year. And they have Juan Mother effing Soto on this team, and Juan Soto stepped up big time too. Mike with the $5. Oh, thank you, Mike. Mike says Soto has good numbers against Philly pitching. Still going to be a tough series. Oh, of course it's going to be a tough series. But Juan Soto is going to hit his first tank at Citi Field this year in that 3-game set. Book it. I'm calling it now. He's going to get one to absolutely rip, and he's going to look back and say, yeah, I got this, buddy, to JT Realmuto. He's going to smoke one to right or up. I'm calling it now. trying to speak it into existence, obviously, too. But Brandon Nimmo, everybody, that gives the Mets their 4-3 lead. Jesse Winker strikes out Sweeney there, unfortunately, and he struck out at the knees, actually. He didn't strike out Sweeney. He was arguing a call that was a clear strike, which then leads us to the top of the 8th. We're in the top of the 8th. The Mets bullpen gets the job done. A nice 1-2-3 inning there that we would see by Mr. Jose Butto. Rebounds nicely after giving up those runs right away the inning prior. He gets a ground out on Contreras. He strikes out Burleson, and then he strikes out Jordan Walker. Great stuff there by Jose Butto, especially throwing them off on the eye level, getting them to go up as well and hack at it. The Cardinals are swinging kind of stupid today. One of the strikeouts that Clay Holmes had was like above the guy's head, it felt like on a fastball up. It was ridiculous, but it works. And you want to know what also works? Luis Angel Acuna every single game. He just works, baby. He does exactly what you need him to do. Acuna, who already reached base here with a single, already was robbed of another opposite field hit. He leads off the inning against Ryan Fernandez, who gave up the bomb to Lindor for the Mr. Walk-Off bomb a couple of days ago. We see Acuna rip his 5th double of the season, everybody. And how does he do it? It's on a soft grounder, everybody. A soft grounder allows Luis Angel Acuna to get to first and to get all the way to second. Tremendous base running ability. Acuna is such a freaking dog. I can't get over how much of a difference maker he is every single game. This is why Acuna is going nowhere. If Beatty gets sent down, it means Beatty's getting sent down. It doesn't mean that Acuna is going along with him. Acuna is here to stay. He is not going anywhere anytime soon. Buddy is playing out of his mind right now, and he's only getting better. This is why I'm going to gas him up and continue to kiss the feet of David Stearns and say, listen, I'm sorry. I'm a schmuck. I wanted Iglesias back just as much as the next guy. I thought that there were natural reservations with relying on the kids when there's a lot of uncertainty there. I'm an idiot. You're right, David. This is why you grew up the diehard Mets fan and actually are now the president of baseball operations. It's almost like you know what you're doing. Who would have thought, considering David Stearns has had nothing short of a tremendous run with the Mets since being hired and 2 off seasons ago. Literally, we have been unbelievable since David Stearns and Carlos Mendoza have gone here, and as they got out of that rut for the most part there, as we got into around mid-May is when things finally started to change with Lindor starting that leadoff spot. But Acuna rips himself a double. Beatty strikes out. And then we would see with 1 out, everybody, Tyrone Taylor TT has a triple on the season and now rips his first double of the year. Driving in Luis Angel Acuna. The bottom of the lineup is stepping up big time in this series for the Mets. Taylor drives one in, and that is now a 5-3 New York Metropolitan lead. And here comes Luis Torrens, who comes in as a pinch hitter. And Torrens, what does Torrens do? He comes in and he works himself a walk. Francisco Lindor then grounds into a force out, which allows runners on the corners with 2 out for Juan Soto. And what happens, everybody? Guys, Juan Soto is finally here. Because while Francisco Lindor had himself a game, a big day with a 3-hit day. Why? Because Lindor is our captain. He is our MVP. But you know what? Another guy who could be our MVP, not named Pete Alonso this year, is Juan Soto, because Juan Soto just had himself a really, really good day for the boys, and it wasn't just that sac fly that we saw Soto do in the beginning of this ball game to give them that 2-0 lead, but most importantly, everybody, it's what Soto did after the fact. Here with 2 outs in the inning, he rips himself a no-doubt opposite field double in the gap, his 5th double of the year. He drives in both runs. Here comes Taylor, here comes Lindor, and here comes a Mets 7-3 lead, everybody, and they would never look back. Tremendous job by Juan Soto to really grind out that at-bat and get exactly the pitch that he wanted to hit. Soto with his first, listen to this, everybody, his first 3 RBI game as a New York Met. If that doesn't hype you up, I don't know what will. And on top of it, Juan Soto casually has 5 RBIs in the past 3 days for this New York Metropolitan team. 2 for 3, 3 RBIs, 356 average, 821 OPS. I understand that those numbers don't necessarily jump right off the board for you right away, but still, steps in the right direction, baby steps for Juan Soto, and we're seeing him finally start to lock in and get more in a groove. He's getting on base every single game, but he's getting on base more than just the walks. He's stepping up more. And if you guys have paid attention throughout this homestand, every game in this homestand, he's gotten better. Game 1, had himself a walk, and that was it. Game 2, had himself an RBI. Game 3, had himself an RBI. Now today, 3 RBIs, a multi-hit game, and the best game on this current homestand yet for the one and only and Juan Soto. Everybody, I want to hear from you guys in the chat as always, and my goodness, Taylor's been a follower since I was, oh my goodness, since I was doing Rangers coverage. What a G you are. Happy to have you in here, baby. I love to see it. Thank you so much. And you recently became a Mets fan. There's no better time to hop on a bandwagon for the Mets than right here, right now, Taylor. So if that's a way for you to enjoy my content more, I'm happy to have you be a part of it. Thank you so much for all the support over the years. I appreciate that a lot. Mark Vientos is okay, Dave. He will be back in the live for the Mets as soon as tomorrow. Thankfully, there's no issues there. But in the case of Juan Soto, everybody, I got to ask, how are we feeling right now? Things are getting better. They are getting better. Juan Soto, I want to hear on a scale 1 to 10, what is your confidence level in Juan after his latest now 3 RBI day? Bobby G, my dog in the chat, how are you? Thank you so much for being in here. Happy to have you. Daniel Caps, JR, everyone, come one, come all, as we're breaking down the latest in Mets land. And folks, if you haven't already, please make sure to continue smashing that like and subscribe on as you come in. It's a great and easy way to support the channel. And folks, we are less than 300 subs away from 33,000. You want to know what that means? We're giving away a new Mets jersey, brand spanking new, of whatever player you want currently on the roster. And all you need to do to enter is subscribe to the platform and make sure you just chime in the content, because as soon as we hit 33,000, we're giving away a jersey. And we've already given away 2 Juan Soto jerseys and 1 Juan Soto shirt jersey this year, all with our latest 1,000 subscriber milestone. So every new 1K subs, we do a big giveaway. So once we hit that, everybody, if you want a Juan Soto jersey, a Lindor jersey, maybe a Luis Angel Acuna jersey, the way I know I want one right now, rest assured I will have one of you guys covered. What we'll do once we hit 33K is approximately a week from that point on, in our future live show, I will have it announced on the community tab ahead of time, telling you guys, hey, we're going live tonight and we're giving away a jersey, or we're going live tomorrow and we're doing the jersey giveaway. You just got to chime into the live chat, spam in the chat when it's time to do that, and that's all you got to do for your chance to win it. So thank you guys for the support on that one. Always means a lot. But as we get back to breaking down this ball game, Mets won 7-3. No, they won 7-4, because we did have a little bit of a hiccup before the end of this ball game. As we would see here, Ryan Stank, everybody, would come in, and we would get a line out on Nolan Gorman, a pop out on Pedro Pajes, and then Michael Ciani with a single, a 2-out knock. He would then get to second base on a defensive indifference, and Lars Nootbaar finally did something this series. He pokes one Oppo. Actually, I apologize. He pulled that baseball. I don't know why I said Oppo. Lars Nootbaar rips one to right, and that allows the run to score. Ryan Stank gave up that run, but it's fine, because Ryan Stank then throws some absolute gas, touching 99, and then throws back-to-back not only the splitty, but then the slide piece, and that does it, striking out Thomas Saggese. It was a pain in the neck all series long, and the Mets go on to win this one, everybody, by a final score of 7-4. Greg, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. LGM and Knicks, you said it, baby. Where my Knicks fans at? How we feeling? 21-0 run to end the ball game. You gotta be feeling good if you ask me, right? And when I say ball game, I'm referring to those Knicks yesterday, baby. Campaign, Mr. Clutch, JB, new shoes, no problem. Cat doing his work, Hart doing his thing, OG's a dog, the rest is history, baby. Great game one there for the Knicks to be resilient and to bounce back against the Pistons for all my NBA Knicks fans out there. And if you're not a Knicks fan, if you hate the fact I'm a Knicks fan, I apologize. Just disregard what I said the past hour or so. Not past hour, past couple minutes. Let's see here, going up the list. Wardy is great. Let's see. I like to bring out the negative and hope the team will adjust. This is all about beating the Dodgers. Everything else is just BS. But here's the thing, especially as someone like me that covers them every game, I can't be just viewing it in that mentality. We know that the Dodgers are probably going to be the test to try to beat when everything is said and done this year. But as a baseball fan that's trying to appreciate the season, you can't let that fixate over the good moments that happen. You have to enjoy them for what they are, because we have such little time to actually enjoy these moments and let them marinate. Like, this was something that I was saying in yesterday's postgame show, and I'll say it again. I wish the Mets had a little bit more of a gap from that Lindor walk-off bomb to their next game, especially when it was a midday game yesterday, because there's just no time to let these moments truly marinate as a fan the way that I would like, the same way that, not same way, but how in football you have a whole week to let things marinate, good or bad, right? If not 2 weeks, so the bye week. Well, hockey, you usually have on average at least every other day. With NBA, you usually have on average at least every other day, excluding back-to-back games. So that's where, when it comes to the season, especially if someone has to cover it, I want to enjoy every aspect, all the highs, all the lows. I got to go through all those emotions. So if I just came out here every single day and said, oh, this is great, but it's nothing, it's meaningless because nothing really matters until the Mets play the Dodgers and then eventually postseason. I mean, then there's no point of even watching the season if you only care about the immediate results towards the end. I think it's just as important to focus and enjoy these short-term highs for what they are, because as a diehard Mets fan, as a diehard baseball fan in general, it's important to appreciate these moments. So that way, if the Mets do go on a run and do the thing this year or in the coming years, you will have been a part of every step of the way. You would have appreciated everything that you should have appreciated, and you should have actually been giving hell when it's time to give hell, where, say, the team is really not playing well, when it's justified. But that's what I have to say about that. I get your point, and trust me, I know that games in April may seem fickle to fans, but these games just mean just as much as they do at the end of the season. And regardless on what the Mets do or don't do against the Dodgers, how they perform leading up to that point is imperative for us fans to figure out what we will be getting up until then. What I will tell you, the Mets are definitely not playing on the full cylinders the way that they would like right now. They're 15-7, and they still have the runners in scoring position woes. They left 8 on base today. They went 4 for 13 or so with runners in scoring position. They have plenty more work to do, but we know that they will continue to do that work. We know that they're going to continue to hopefully get better throughout the course of the season. So that's why it's hard not only be optimistic, but to just be genuinely happy on the day-by-day with the team right now. Until the Mets give us a reason to be pissed off for 48 to 72 hours plus in a row, we're going to enjoy these highs for what they are, everybody. And speaking of enjoying these highs, not only did Juan Soto have himself a game for us to appreciate, but let's talk a little bit more on the man that, in my opinion, that you could rightfully argue is Wardy's star of the game. And yeah, I'm going to give it to him because he deserves it. That home run robbery, that huge hit to give the Mets back the lead, that was a difference maker in this ball game, everybody. Nimmo might have not had the sexiest game on paper, but he was what we needed to ultimately win this ball game. Brandon Nimmo, have yourself a day, baby. 1 for 4 with the home run robbery. That's why we have on the graphic home run robbed. 1 RBI, 202 average, 634 OPS. I know that Nimmo has more work to do. We all know that. His plate approach has definitely been too jumpy early on, and we know that he's struggled to grind out at bats like the typical clutch Brandon Nimmo is known for doing. But what Brandon was able to give the Mets today was a balance on both sides of the ball. And if he can continue to do this, everybody, then we're going to be in good hands. Because Nimmo has been batting as of late there. He's been finding himself ranging from the 4 to 6 spot. He was batting 6 a couple of games ago. Now today he was batting 4th against Sonny Gray, the right-hander. And listen, would I like to see more than just a one-hit game out of Brandon? Of course, absolutely. But this is the kind of game that's a confidence builder for Brandon. And I want to remind you guys how good Brandon Nimmo is when he's hot. Well, if Brandon Nimmo can get hot and get back in similarity to what he's been before, and I'm not saying to be a plate setter. I'm not saying to just work your walks constantly and just be slapping for singles. Nimmo's going to hit for more power this year. We know that. And he's still trying to figure out his identity a bit, knowing that he is no longer a plate setter like he was for his first 5+ years of his career with the Mets and the organization. As soon as Lindor took that leadoff spot last year, things changed. He had a red-hot remainder of the first half of the season, and then plantar fasciitis cooked him in the second half. And that also needs to be emphasized, because when people bring up, Nimmo did not perform well for a good chunk of the season last year, let's not forget the ailments that Nimmo was going through, especially in the second half. Buddy was cooked in the second half because his feet were all cooked. That goes directly in hand. So I'm not saying that he shouldn't have played better, because he still should have. If you're out there, you're healthy enough to play, regardless of what you're dealing with. If you're going out of your way to try to play every day, then you need to still perform. And Nimmo hasn't done that nearly as consistently as we've hoped, but he's putting the right foot forward. This is a great step in that, and again, a perfect way to cap off a series victory for the Mets, for him to be the difference maker, to rob a home run, and then to give the Mets back the lead just a half inning later after they gave up that 2-run double to Thomas Ajacey, everybody. But Brandon Nimmo, I want to hear, how are you guys feeling about Brandon so far this season? What do you appreciate most about him? What are you discouraged about him the most? And the comments down below to each and every one of you, the same applies. Let's hear it down below. Thank you guys so much for all that. It really does mean a lot. And we have one more player spotlight that I want to share. The only reason why I don't have a Luis Angel Acuna spotlight is just because I couldn't get enough highlights for him. SNY didn't initially post his double. I couldn't find it anywhere else. And because of the fact that it wasn't like a true double, if that makes sense, but we'll take it for what it is. And Acuna, I just can't get over him. But there's one other guy that we have to talk about, because even though he didn't do as much today as he's done all season, he was still productive. And every time he does something, we have to talk about what's working for Pete Alonso, everybody. The polar bear had himself a day. The batting average went slightly down, so I know Pete Alonso, everybody. The sky is starting to fall for Pete Alonso, folks. So when I say that, I'm being a schmuck right now because Buddy still has over 300 average by far and a really good OPS, but he did drop 10 points on the average from yesterday to today, down to, what was me, 346 with a just under 1,200 OPS. Oh, what a day. Even though Alonso didn't produce when we had a key opportunity for him against Phil Maton, I'm not losing sleep over it. A 1-for-5 day. Ripped that RBI there to continue to get the party going for the Mets. That made it 3-0 at the time. Pete Alonso has just been so unbelievably good this season, guys. I really don't think I can put into exact words just how impressive he has been this year. Because Pete is casually sitting, as we talk right now, with a total of 24 RBIs, 6 home runs, 14 walks to 12 strikeouts. Guys, Alonso's getting more walks than strikeouts right now in his first 78 at-bats. That's huge. Absolutely huge. His eye at the plate has been jaw-dropping. It has been night and day from all the regular season last year. What hasn't Alonso been able to do? Buddy has a 453 on-base percentage and a 718 slug right now. Holy guacamole. That's just absolutely insane. Wow. Let's see. Are you telling me Soto for his career averages 23 home runs? Are you kidding me, dude? What are we talking about in the chat? Joe, who are you talking to that you're having this back and forth on the Soto with? What is happening? I'm seeing Joe in the chat right now battle it out the best he can to try to defend and say, what are you talking about, to someone else in the chat on the Soto front. Soto averages around 30-plus home runs and north of 100 RBIs every single year. That's 100% true. I'm not sure why there was someone in the chat that was maybe doubting that. Let's see. And Soto is currently on pace for 35 home runs and a 162 per Baseball Reference. Let's see. I'm just curious because I missed the context of that conversation when it started in the chat, so that's why I'm trying to catch up here. But Pete Alonso, guys, what a start to the season for him. And I'm telling you guys, appreciate this for what it is, because we don't know exactly how long we're going to get Pete playing at this level. But right now, he's really not slowing down. He just continues to pick up. And now we're facing the effing Phillies, which we hate. We know the Phillies are coming into town. They hate us as well. And it's going to be really important to see how the boys can do against a rival in Philadelphia, the way that the Mets are going to show against them in a 3-game set. Because not only do the Mets have the Phillies as their father kicking their teeth in less than 7 games in the NLDS. Francisco Lindor, shout out Carlos Estevez for being the best trade deadline acquisition the Phillies have had in recent years. If you know, you know. But in all seriousness, big series starting tomorrow, everybody, and we are going to preview that I'm going to have for you guys to check out there tomorrow on the front of the Phillies and a lot of other miscellaneous topics. We're going to have a big video dropping in the AM for each and every one of you, barring changes. But the polar bear is doing his job, everybody, and everyone else is doing their part. The Mets in total today on the offensive end out-hit the Cardinals 11-8. They had a 246 expected batting average to 204 there of the St. Louis Cardinals. On the exit velocities, who was the big standout for this one today? For the Mets, Pete Alonso had their hardest hit at 108.4 miles per hour on a single that we saw. Juan Soto, his double was 107, and Lars Nootbaar actually had the hardest hit of the game. And funny enough, when he had that RBI, 110 off of Ryan Stanek, because Stanek was throwing absolute gas, because Stanek was throwing 98. Makes sense. Let's look at the hardest throwers today in the velo. And when we look at the velo for the hardest throwers there, we would see Mr. Ryan Stanek topping out right around 99 for the most part. After Ryan Stanek, Jose Butto topped out at 96 today, and then it was Clay Holmes that was right around 95. So, folks, that is going to do it. A very happy Easter for your guy Wardy and for each and every one of you. I can't thank you enough for the donations, for the likes and subscriptions and everything in between. Robert, if I do attend Wednesday's game for whatever reason, I will definitely let you guys know for sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to be here, everybody, for any of the games at Citi Field the next couple days. I'm trying to hit one of the Philly games. I'm being completely transparent. I'm just figuring out my schedule because it's a lot easier said than done to kind of up and do things last minute, especially as a dad, because you got to make sure that everything's in line to be able to do it. he's going to be comfortably able to be watched, or I bring him along with, but I'm not doing that yet. I'm going to do that probably later on this season at minimum. But in the case of me attending a game, I will let you guys know. Still have some things to figure out. If I don't attend a game now, don't worry. I 100% will be attending games in May, because I already have a game locked down for that Cubs series. I might be attending 2 games on that Cubs series too. So you guys just be on the lookout for it. Thank you guys again so much for the likes and subscriptions. A very happy Easter Sunday for each and every one of you. And your guy Wardy is now going to sign out and get set in what is going to be a big 3-game set beginning tomorrow against Philadelphia. Thank you guys again, folks. And as always,